Musinguzi, retired but not tired. Executive Director Research, Bank of Uganda, Economic Advisor to the Governor, and Executive Director, Governor's Office. I'm also a consultant and member of the African Central Bank Steering Committee of the African Union Commission. I also happen to wear another hat. I'm the chairman of the Inclusive Policy Dialogue, and Madam P.S. GCC Lieutenant General Kafuma had already allowed me to introduce the members here supporting me from the Inclusive Policy Dialogue. And may I move honestly to request the members of the Inclusive Policy Dialogue, the brains, the think tankers, to stand up for recognition. Stand up for, put up your hands, yes. Yes, stand up, actually, honorable. Stand up. These are the people supporting MTIC. These are the people supporting OWC, and we interact freely and independently on the Inclusive Policy Dialogue. So now I can start formally. We are going to understand the causes and the remedies of the high cost of credit, not only in Uganda, but in the East African and Indian Ocean sub-region. The Bank of Uganda is a member of the Association of African Central Banks, AACB, and during our chairmanship for the Eastern Africa and Indian Ocean sub-region, we convened a workshop 17 years back to do nothing other than dissect the problem of the persistence of high lending rates, high margins, high spreads, and high commercial bank charges. It was a problem that was plaguing not only Uganda, the ESC, and the Indian Ocean sub-region, but the entire African region. So the governors of central banks at an assembly for the whole continent over the African Central Bank governors decided that the Bank of Uganda convenes a workshop to tackle this and advise them 17 years ago. And I happen to share that technical with you. So what I'm going to present is a summarized version of what we said then. And no sooner had we done that than a heated debate developed in the media, here in Uganda, in the parliament. There were exchanges, hot exchanges, between the private sector and the commercial banks and the Bank of Uganda to bail out members of the private sector that were having teething problems. And those that were having, remember the CBR rate had to go up to around 9, now it's 10.5%. It has not stopped to go. So it had come down to low levels to ease the amount of price stance, and therefore induced commercial bank lending rates to come down. They didn't come down, they just took advantage of that one. So when the central bank CBR rates came down, commercial banks did not mimic that trend. Now the pressure of course has come now with some other pressures, and the CBR has gained big hike, and the CBR, the commercial banks have certainly more than increased their lending rates. Now, we now go to the main issue. What are the causes of the high lending rates? What you look at is the headline, lending rate. That's not a good indicator. The good indicator is the effective lending rate. It is the headline lending rate that you see now loaded with commission charges, okay? Mortgage insurance, loaded with other legal costs, notary costs, the legal fees. When you add all of them, you get what you call the effective lending rate. And the effective lending rate is not going down, it's going up. What you look at are the cosmetic prime lending rates for the prime borrowers. Are you a prime borrower? Are you a prime borrower? So that's what when you say decline from 22% headline interest rate coming down to 19%, don't be amused. the effective lending rate is ticket downwards. Even when the central bank reduces the CBR, the other one actually remains up there. There is a disconnect. And that high effective lending rate is what suffocates private sector credit growth and therefore stunts real growth buoyancy. Okay? But be careful when you are looking at these lending rates. Don't look at the headline things. Look at the effective, what you actually suffer when you enter the bank and ask for a loan. They load all those costs. Some of them are hidden. You end up being fleeced. So the high lending rates are a result of the high cost of capital, plus the high operating costs, plus the high risk profile, plus the high profit margin, the supernormal profits the commercial banks reap. And you know the CEOs get bonuses when they are making high or supernormal profits. Now, I want you to move a bit from these rates. Go to the effective cost of capital. What effective rate what should we be looking at? Should we look at total cost of capital, the total cost of credit, and those guys from Mexico, the Mexicans, those guys from Peru, the Peruvians, have got a very smart way of calculating the total cost of credit. And they have an app called the Retasas software. The Retasas software looks at the following. It looks at the uneffective cost rate and calculates it as the effective annual rate and effective rate. They load it with consumer credit insurance. They load it with mortgage insurance. They load it with asset and notary fees. And they load it with service fees paid to the lender in the case of credits. And they derive the ineffective cost rate, the TCEA. Now, in the case of the deposit, they look at the ineffective yield rate. Not the deposit rate, but you look at the headline, the deposit rate on commercial. But no, the total cost. You look at the ineffective yield rate, the Terra EA, and is defined as the effective annual rate, okay, less the fees paid to the financial institution. You know there are some charges when you withdraw, because when you withdraw your own money, that one time you withdraw money, pay school fees, and the commercial bank will charge you that for doing that, withdrawing, charging you money on your own money to pay your children's school fees. Now, what are the causes? The causes are many. One, the willful defaulters of Ugandans. Some Ugandans, when they get the money, they willfully default. And you have seen it even within your own, among your own relatives, even among your own friends. You lend him nice, it comes to you, begs, kneels, you lend the person, and the person turns your loan into a grant. Okay? And you know the dangers of even trying to recover that loan, even at a personal level. As to those who are money lenders, they tell you their concerns. So why hide the cost rates? The risk, the Ugandan risk. The Ugandans risk individually, as a firm, and as a corporate. And why did we set up the credit reference system? The credit reference system was set up precisely to capture. Okay, the credit reference system reduces the asymmetry between the borrowers and the lending, the banks and you, the borrowers. Okay? That information now is provided, that asymmetry, that lack of information is now provided, and the asymmetry is removed, the asymmetry is provided by the credit reference bureau. So that's why it was set up. So you cannot move from one bank to another to borrow and hoping to default, to go on with your defaulting spree. Number two, The high operational costs, why are they high? Why are they high? We are going to ask commercial banks in the survey later. I don't want to answer it now. Number three, the shallowness and narrowness of the financial sector, and the monopolistic tendencies of the financial institutions, with the reduced competition around, with the narrowness and the shallowness. Those that we will have in the system are reaping normal profits. They have the monopoly. Okay? They can even the gun. They're not in development. UDP, yes. Post Bank, yes. Certain banks are extant, but the Musinguzi Bank, you think they're here for charity? They're here for development? The absence of long-term deposit-taking institutions and specialized financial institutions such as merchant banks, investment banks, and a wider area of financial products, the venture capitalists, factoring services, corporate advisory services, hire purchase services, contract funding services, the warehouse system. Institutions that can provide medium to long-term finance. That's why we think of strengthening the warehouse system. I'll give you an example. The case of the Siemens. Siemens is a very successful German company, multinational, okay? With a functioning warehouse system in Germany. Once you hold a piece of paper from Siemens underwrites. Okay, it's also an underwriter. Once you have a piece of paper from Siemens, you can move to any bank in Germany and they lend you money. Siemens, a private company, a multinational. With a paper from them, you can finance your other things. Do you have such a company here that has that credibility, that reputation, that can float an instrument, a private bond, say an energy bond, other than existing Musinguzi companies? Can our KCC float a municipal bond to finance KCC activities? Can it do that? Then the poor loan repayment culture, that one I'm interested. But we also have the poor savings culture. We do not have a regular savings culture, do we? We don't. How can you expect to invest when you are not saving? Look, yesterday Dr. Chajere did the famous thing. The savings investment gap over the house at the household level, plus the savings and investment gap at the government level. That gap, the sum of those two gaps, is simply a reflection of the current account gap. In other words, if you do not export, if you do not encourage export, if your export do not surpass your import trend, if government or the private sector or the individuals engage in highly conspicuous consumption rather than productive activities, if the debt management does not resolve several things, including the clearance of the mountain domestic areas, if you do not take measures to become sustainable in terms of public guaranteed external debt in the medium to long term, if you do not improve the efficiency of financial intermediation channels to intermediate between borrowers and lenders in the savings, investment, growth process, then you expect these pressures to persist. You expect the exchange rate pressure to persist, now worsened by the famous LGBT. That's why this dialogue was different from other dialogues. The strategic development of exports. And I've always emphasized that this is also dialogue. And I want members outside that dialogue to notice. We need a regional, strategic, high value added, diversified competitive, commodity value chain linked, blended, branded. Professor Augusta talked about GI. That's nothing other than branding and rebranding and patenting. Yeah? Remember? And by the way, that was not a new thing. Kaunga himself, Bello Kaunga, I want to give you credit here. Where's Kaunga now? My friend. Kaunga, actually, people should know, and I want them to know, the presentation by Professor Augustus Nwagaba, just simply read Kaunga's article in the Monitor of February 2022, exactly. And the title was Champagning Our Coffee. That was the title. So these are not new things. Kaunga advised a long time ago, begin champagning your coffee. Begin champagning. So Kaunga, sir, although I disagree with you on the regional and African integration process, you hit the nail on his head when it came to branding. So you want to, next time, refuse to give me more time. And it forces me to go to Lieutenant General Sam Kavuma for more time. Now, I go to what the commercial bank said. What did they say? Well, that's very important. What the commercial bank said is very important before I go back to my conclusion, to my recommendation. I want to tell you what the commercial bank said. This is what the commercial bank said. This is very important. Because we want to hear it from the lowest mouth. And not what central banks assume or take for granted. We collected a comprehensive through the entire Eastern Africa and the Indian Ocean sub-region. And other regions of Africa also did the same thing in the other rates. So this is what commercial banks say. Commercial banks say, you guys are high-risk borrowers. Indeed, what we had also said. They said, you guys engage the high operational costs. But you said, no, high operational costs, yes, with the ATM, setting up ATM. But ATM's cost is only a single shot. You can't be setting up ATMs every year. So if a second, sure, it's not come down after you automate it. What is the issue of automation and the operational costs remain high? Okay? So we agree with them on operational costs. After all, the road branch network has not been expanded since the time of Dr. Mine. There is Dr. Frank Mine. Remember, we scaled down from the upcountry, and and whatever is happening now is through circles, through village banks, and the VSL, the Village Loan Associations. No, it's not that they are still suffering from high operational costs. They have automated, and automation is a single short cost. It cannot be an annual cost. So it's agreed. The shallowness and depth, the narrow and narrow, that one we agreed. The absence of medium to long-term finance, we agreed. The poor service culture, we agreed. I've already talked about it. Now they come back, then they come to attack the central bank itself, which was doing the interview, which was doing the survey. You are responsible because your cash reserve requirements force us to have a mountain of idle excess reserve. We said no. You guys are waiting for the central bank to sell treasury bills and government bonds on behalf of government. So you keep the idle excess reserve so they can come in and cash in at the time of the auction during the week, whether it is weekly or whether it is fortnightly. You are waiting to make a kill in the domestic securities market. So we defeated them. We also knew that commercial banks were keeping those amount of idle excess reserve so they can also make a kill in the foreign exchange market, in the interbank foreign exchange market, where it was yummy, where they were reaping big. So because the new government was a bit desperate, they wanted more financing of the deficit, and they were therefore offload big supplies of treasury bills and bonds. So commercial banks read their signal. They knew they were desperate to finance their deficit. So they hiked the interest rate. treasury bills went up, the long-term bonds rates went up, and of course for commercial banks. Look, commercial banks rates also went up. See? You know what happens when the central bank rate goes up? You think we are tightening, we are also doing some other thing. So on the monetary policy stuff, yes, we agree. Bank of Uganda, the central bank is also part of that problem. But Bank of Uganda, you can't blame it entirely because you see, if inflation goes through the roof, then the mandate of the central bank is at stake. Now, the only problem that the central bank should distinguish between structural factors, the supply side factors that induce and perpetuate inflation, from the demand factors that result from fiscal and monetary policy slippages. Okay? They should be able to distinguish the two. So, suppose there was a El Nino every day in Uganda, does it mean the central bank should keep on hiking the CBI? Suppose there was a drop in Uganda year in, year out, does it mean the central bank should also keep hiking central bank rates? No, so they should distinguish the supply and structural factors from the policy slippages from monetary policy and fiscal indiscipline. And I want to admit that the main danger now is fiscal indiscipline. But the central bank can therefore be absolved for doing what it does at times. I want you to understand it. And the central bank can only be faulted now for the introduction, the early intervention of the central bank rate itself when they first introduced that policy stance, the inflation targeting framework in 2011. That's when it was first introduced. And I was about to exit the Bank of Uganda. At that time, they said we are going to give a best 30% weight for inflation objective. That's 30%, 20% for best money, and some percentage for the exchange rate. Zero weight for the growth objective. How can you do monetary policy oblivious of the government's objective of GDP growth target? Later on, they were forced and of course advised and properly advised to change the CBR methodology. Now the CBR current methodology includes the exchange rate, it includes the output growth, the expected output growth minus the forecast growth. That's the difference. The expected growth minus the trend growth. Okay? It also now includes the difference between the expected inflation and the target inflation rate. So those are now built in. That would be a bit hard for you guys, but let me simplify it. It simply says, when the economy is overheating, if the economy is overheating, in other words, if the economy is growing faster than the potential growth and it overheats, the central bank should tighten monetary policy and therefore increase the lever of the CBR, raise the lever. But it also says that for monetary policy to start to be symmetrical, if therefore the economy is also underperforming like it's doing now, below the potential, below the target, or around the target. Now, okay, the potential target is 7%, by the way, it's not 5. The potential target for GDP is 7%. So if the economy is doing less than 7%, it should have to now be easing monetary policy stance. Okay? But it does not mean easing monetary policy stance when at the same time you are facing with these inflation sentences, especially those coming from out. Ukraine, Russian war, the other time it was COVID. This time there are other factors. Some of them you don't want to mention them here. Now I'll take you back, because I now want to go to the recommendations. I have two categories of recommendations. I've got specific recommendations for the government of Uganda. I have another set of recommendations for the central bank. But I also have a general set of recommendations. Let me begin with the general set. Before I go to the specific one. The general set of recommendations is this. First, rationalize public expenditure. First, rationalize, cut the fat out of the public expenditure. Fat the cut out. And there's a lot of fat. Let's say it as it is, and I'm saying it as it is. Cut out that fat. Because what is that fat doing now? That fat is causing government to issue a lot of treasury bills and the government wants to contain liquidity homes coming from fiscal policy injections. Okay? So if interest rates must go up because of government's behavior, rationalize that expenditure. Number two, address supply side factors whose origin is not the central bank and whose origin is the other factors during the control of the central bank. Address those supply factors. Does the central bank go into investment? No. The MDs can inherit out. The private sector can inherit out. Help the central bank conduct monetary and exchange policy. Help the central bank conduct exchange policy by increasing the export base, by diversifying and expand the export base. Unfortunately today, Ambassador Ido Philip is here. He's going to give you his practical experience about exports. What to export. You will just be amazed. Number three, address the factors within the banking system that keep increasing or leaving the operating cost high. Address them. Commercial banks, development bank, house cost bank, housing finance. Address those structural factors that keep your lending costs and your operating costs high. Unfortunately, the government or the central bank has reached to leverage over private commercial bank. It can do that. First bank can do that. Say UDB. Can it do that to the Muzungu bank? Can it do that? Tell you that can do that. So the central bank can only use moral suasion. Persuading. That's the limit. Only persuading. You want to be advice. So I can refuse your advice. It's my private bank. I'm putting my own money. Put up yours. I've already talked about the strategy for export, so I don't want to repeat that. But let me repeat for you to get properly. It is a regional, strategic, value-adding, diversified, competitive, niche market, and component value chain link, blended, branded, rebranded, productivity and production-driven export sector, as well as sustaining rigorous promotion of tourism in all its forms. Proper tourism, conference tourism, eco-tourism, cultural tourism, tourism, agro-tourism, cottage industries, and anything to do with value addition in general. And the doctor, the boss of Ghana Export Promotion Board is here. He told me he got to know all this, he heard this same thing from me long ago when I was in the Bank of Ghana. But I hope it has helped you, sir. Help the PSM to do our work. And I don't know what Parliament decided about your body. What did it decide, sir? If I may know. What did it say? Then just from there.
They are both together, Uganda Export Promotion Board and this one is
Ufza. Okay, at least you're with the Fusa. It's okay. If your body, your guys with promotion body is with the Fusa, you are still at home. Under empty. You are still at home. You are not disbanded. You should thank God for that. If you are if that disbanded you, I will stop making my presentation. Okay. Yeah, I told you to wind up, so I'll go to those specific ones, because if I don't go to recommendation for the central bank and the government, then I'll have done no work. Number one, central banks help towards running the operations of the bank and non-bank financial institutions to reduce the operational costs and achieve efficiency. And of course, one of those reforms including information, and we want them to be independent. It could also foster efficiency in the financial system and narrow the interest rate rates, and therefore lead to the efficiency of financial conditions. Number two, for those countries within our region that do not have credit reference bureaus, set them up. And for those that have, strengthen them. Next, vigorously enforce mandatory publication by commercial banks and non-bank financial institutions all their charges and issues, including the one that Mexico and Peru disclose. So that when a borrower goes to the market bank, you will know the legal and notary fees, you know the mortgage insurance fees, you know all of these other costs which I pointed out, okay? They should also add them to the headline, levy rate. Demand that. Again, further strengthen financial literacy, financial inclusion, and financial consumer protection. That's a very important instrument. And you have commercial bank guidelines on those. Strengthen that area. Seriously engage commercial banks in dialogue, in moral solution. Okay? What do we do? You are going to get them. They are not banks, they are not public banks. They don't owe you anything. So you can only use persuasion. But above all, maintain prudence in your monetary policy conduct and become an external agent of change, a fiscal agent of change on the Ministry of Finance and the government. Be a check and balance. Advise them to contain their appetite for borrowing, for expenditure that makes you feel to do your work properly as a monetary authority. You are a monetary authority. You are not anybody else. You are a monetary authority. That is a fiscal policy. You coordinate, you work together, you search it out together. Policy coordination between monetary policy and fiscal policy. Strengthen that relationship. After all, you don't have a memorandum of understanding between yourselves. So make sure that memorandum of understanding. I don't want to point out the case where the late governor had complained about the arrangement had worked out with the president of Uganda to do something, and he was still waiting for the president of Uganda to meet his end of the bargain. Don't force me to say other things. Now, how about government? And here, be attentive. Government of Uganda. Reduce that mountain of domestic arrears. I want to ask Julius Mukunda, did you really build in domestic arrears and the debt you owe to the Bank of Uganda, Ministry of Finance, debt Bank of Uganda, what you bought from the Bank of Uganda recently? Did you build it in your figure? Because his figure was showing a debt GDP ratio of 49.2%, just at the cliff. It was under the cliff of 2%. If you put that figure in, would they not fall off the cliff? Would the government fall off the cliff in terms of sustainability of debt? Enact consumer protection laws, not guidelines. Move from consumer protection guidelines, now laws. The laws. Now, the one that gives you the strength, the power to do things, not guidance. Guidance can be flouted. Make it a law and go to Parliament. Go to Parliament and defend your ideas. Allow and then promote effective competition. Someone was actually was romantic here. That you go to a commercial bank, they ask you, how many children do you have? What do they eat? How many meals do you take a day? How many meals do you have a day? The bulk of bureaucracy, the bureaucracy, and filling up those formulas you are doing the comprehensive exam for GMAT and GRE. When you go to the US to study. Please, reduce that bureaucracy. Reduce that bureaucracy. Turn the guidance into law. Promote capital markets development. You see, capital markets can be expensive. The international capital market can be expensive. But when you have big schools to the wall, you have got to plan prudently to float for the private sector to be strengthened and improved to float their own private bonds. And this in the ESC. The ESC, Capital Markets Committee, has allowed placement of placements on each other's stock exchange. Shares, another placement. Seek capital from sources that are not very expensive, but allow capital markets to help you out as well. Now that we are even in a tight corner, support them. Now, about the cost of doing business, which increased, the cost of doing business increased the interest rate, the cost of lending, no? They increase them. So address structural factors that increase the related cost of doing business. It is a cost. Land titling now takes about 3 years. If you go to a district office for land, it takes about 3 years to get a land title. And yet a land title is what can give you access to a commercial bank loan without. They are asking for corruption. So make it easier for people to do land titling. You take the cost. The other costs I don't want to talk about them. You know them better than me. That one I've done. IDT, we have NITA, thanks to NITA, we have the national IDs. That's okay, that's a tick. Learn lessons from successful experiences from the BRICS, such as Mauritius, EPZ experiences which are financed, Malaysian EPZ which are financed, Thailand, Chiang Mai, EPZ which are also financed. Learn from successful BRICS experiences, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And I'm actually slightly unhappy that we never addressed the issues that was raised by MTIC. They wanted us to look at the successful experiences of development banks. I hope MTIC will find time to arrange where successful experiences of development banks can be shared. And I've given an example, for example, NABARD of India. The NABARD experience is very rich. The Development Bank of South Africa. Now the BRICS Development Bank. The BRICS are not waiting for the IMF and World Bank and others who are doing the BRICS are running ahead. The BRICS, don't forget that they have China there. The Chinese now preparing itself to be the first superpower. And be the next superpower after the US. Above all, implement the strategy, which I've talked about the exports, strengthening the business investment climate to reduce the Ghana cost of doing business, and promote intra-ESC, intra-COMESA, intra-tripartite reg, and AFCFE, African Continental Free Trade Area. It's up and running. Okay? With that, Mr. Joachim, I can stop here and refer to the lady from Uganda Warehouse Housing System to come privately to me, and I'll give her a wider array of the financial product that she wanted to be established so that it can support the warehouse system. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Another round of applause for the
scheme to Ruhira Agricultural Hub. We manage both Mashumba Dam and the irrigation pipeline and infrastructure. Ruhaguri, the popular name of the company here, is a public-private partnership between UDC, which holds 62% shareholding, Vasil SA, a Dutch food machinery manufacturer, holds 20%, and Ruhira Microfinance, an MDI born out of Ruhira Millennium Circle, holding 18%. Kabyana irrigation scheme was constructed by the government of Uganda at a cost of 85 billion Ugandan shillings, financed by the World Bank under the Irrigation for Climate Resilience Program, ICRP, to benefit farmers in Kabyana Town, Council, Kabyana Sub-County, and Chikagati Sub-County in Isingiro District. The irrigation scheme and Morongo hydropower dam are our twin saviors. We call them Wakombozi. And on the day we took over management of the irrigation scheme, we made one commitment to the farmers. As you read it on the billboard, welcoming you into our head office. It is a Mkono word. And our PSP, Enterprise Litmus Test. We have found the confidence to tell you that you can only be limited by your capacity, the literal meaning of Nosewa Mkono. Because every enterprise we undertake is subjected to our PSPP litmus test. PSPP standing for blunt, structured, predictable, and profitable. This means that all nodes of the value chain are tested against our PSPP. Nothing is done haphazardly or blindly. And you have not disappointed us. Virtually, every family in the irrigation scheme area and even beyond in Morongo, Tanzania, Tungamo, Rampara, and other areas of Isingiro has a minimum of 50 laying birds under range. This magnificent industrial complex you are witnessing today will require 300,000 eggs per day. This will be from organic range chicken and will fetch a premium price on the world market. We will have 3 core products of dehydrated eggs in powdered form, just like milk: egg white, egg yolk, whole egg. The Ruhaguri trajectory 2025 to 2034. Mhanga Horticulture Industries. Factory cooked, ready to eat vegetable salads. Wakombozi Agri-Stores supplies genuine inputs, seeds, fertilizers, machinery, Bukona green fuel. Then Kayuho Packaging Industries, biodegradable packaging materials, no Kagdea. Kabyana Banana Industries, banana products from domestic and export markets. Mashumba Foods Limited, providing egg powder, white, yolk, whole egg, as I have stated above. Renyaga Freighters provides transport to domestic and export markets. City Green Market, branches spread across Greater Kampala, so far 4 running. Green Fertilizers Limited recycles domestic waste into organic fertilizers across towns and cities. Wombeka Green Homes, planned residential homes and commercial building under a 20-year mortgage system. Still under the Ruhaguri trajectory of 2025 to 2034, Riyadh Institute of Applied Technology, Riyadh. This is our center of generational reorientation and social transformation. Its core cohorts are high school leavers on their way to tertiary education. The RS curriculum is a hybrid KSA, knowledge, skill, attitude. Formation with elements of Tanzania's Jeshi la Kujenga Taifa, Costa Rica's Art University, among others. In the course of the apprenticeship, the apprentices will be paid in stipend, which will be pulled into a central tertiary education fund to finance their tertiary education. Upon completion of the apprenticeship, we shall see the strategic outcomes and impact linked family. Our target outputs and outcomes are summed up in the IIPAA family. Practicing integrated, intensive, profitable agriculture, IIPA, using green energy for domestic lighting and other needs, practicing rainwater harvesting for consumption and production, environmental protection, growing trees for shade, energy, fruits, windbreak, timber. Minimum monthly net income per family, that is 2 million Ugandan shillings. Then the transformative impact by 2034, household incomes, which will be a minimum of 2 million Ugandan shillings per month at 37% in 2027. Employment of about 12,000 actively employed across our spokes, no longer chains. Export earning, that's our target. Nutrition security, 30% of eggs and vegetable products is donated back to each household that supplies the factories. The cost is recovered from the premium price on exports. Generational reorientation, 80% of employees in the companies are youth, mostly under RIAD, the institute talked about, 2 years of pre-tertiary formation, which is compulsory. Green living, planned human settlement, Wombekapu, 20-year mortgage. Export earning, fresh fruit, banana, ndizi, pogoya, vacuum packaged matoke, as one of the professors presented yesterday. Then nutrition security, 30% of farmer supplies returned home, covered by premium from exports. Generational reorientation, 80% of employees in the companies are the youth, under RIAD and fish market. Then what is our inspiration? Throughout the 1970s, with virtually no natural resources, no energy, and over 110 million people rooted in 4 small mountainous islands, Japan succeeded in achieving the highest growth rate, the lowest level of unemployment, and one of the best paid and healthiest working populations in the world. Out of the ashes of World War II, the country built an industrial empire second to none. Then, alluding from E.F. Schumacher, what is the meaning of democracy? Freedom, human dignity, standards of living, self-realization, fulfillment. Is it a matter of goods or of people? Those are questions to answer. Of course, it is a matter of people. If economic thinking cannot grasp this, it is therefore useless. If it cannot go beyond its vast abstractions and make contact with human realities of poverty, frustration, congestion, ugliness, and spiritual death, then let us scrap economies and start afresh. E.F. Schumacher. When planning for development, think of the poorest man, of the poorest person you have ever met. That was alluded from Michel Dodaro. As I conclude, allow me to say thank you to all who have attended this meeting. Asanteni sana.